So you're working on several different tests with several different companies as well. I think first let's start with the work you're doing with diagnostics company Biomedomics on a test that can detect current or past exposure to the coronavirus within minutes and could be used in doctors' offices, other settings. Tell us a little bit more about that and how quickly we could actually see that start to reach offices and be used on potential patients.
Sure. So we have a whole portfolio of assays that we're launching. So the first is to help diagnose coronavirus, and that we're shipping that today. And then the second is the assay that we'll begin shipping this week, which is the test that you mentioned. There, it's a simple finger stick. A drop of blood goes onto the test strip, and in 15 minutes you can determine whether or not a patient has built immunity to the virus and is therefore no longer as susceptible to infection and risk. And so still to be determined how that test will be used broadly. There's a lot of discussion around it even being used as a screening test to help people get back to work. And we'll see how that evolves over the coming weeks.
Yeah, and then on Friday, you announced that you did receive approval from the FDA for another test that you've been working on as well for hospitals that would produce results on whether someone has coronavirus or not in under 3 hours. And of course, what's so notable about this is the fact that hundreds of hospitals across the country already would have the infrastructure in place to basically be able to start using this test. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, so that's on our BD Max molecular platform. And as you mentioned, that's used to help determine does someone have the virus. And it takes about 2 to 3 hours to run that. We just got emergency use authorization last week and are shipping that to hospitals around the country. We actually just filed for a second test as well that will go on our BD Max that will further expand our capacity. And so one of the things that's really unique about BD is, of course, we have tools that are being used in drug discovery on how the immune system responds to coronavirus. So you can get the right treatments out there. Obviously, we've got a whole suite of products now used to diagnose coronavirus and determine if someone has immunity. And then, the last area is, of course, we have a range of products from infusion pumps to IV sets and other solutions that are used in the treatment of coronavirus. So working across the whole healthcare spectrum to help combat this pandemic.
Tom, John Ford here. Good morning. Last hour, we had former Fed Chair Janet Yellen on, and she was talking about how critical it is to get people back to work as a way to get the economy going again when it is safe, and how testing is going to be an important part of that. It seems to me like this test that you've talked about that's going to detect antibodies would be a key part of that, because if people have already been exposed, it's more likely that it's safe for them to go into an active workplace, get back to work. But we would need millions of tests, it seems. How quickly can you scale the production of this test, and how widely will it be available?
Yeah, so we'll be shipping beginning this week. We have the capacity to produce millions of those tests per week and can ramp that up even further. And as you mentioned, we've seen countries in Europe already begin discussing actually have cards for people that would indicate that they actually have built immunization and can go back to work. We'll see how that evolves in the U.S., but certainly we see that concept that you just mentioned starting to gain traction around the world.
To that point, the UK government today admitted that none of the 17 million antibody tests that they were going to order and send home maybe work well enough to be used because of the high number of false negatives and false positives. I mean, what can you tell viewers about the reliability of all the tests that we're looking at in terms of providing reliable results?
I can't comment on other technologies that may be out there. I know we've certainly validated the products that we sell and are very comfortable in that. And I would say that the test quality has gone up over the duration. We know, for example, that the tests that we're selling today are multiple-fold more sensitive than some of the early technologies that were available to detect coronavirus. And I think that's probably true across the industry, that things are more robust as some of the more advanced technologies are hitting the market now.